What's up, everyone? My name is Blake Carrodus, and I'm in the Management 493 Strategic Planning class. Today is November 11th, 2025, and I will be presenting an analysis of the Honda Rover crafting an alliance case. This presentation will explore how and why Honda and Rover came together, what each side hoped to gain, and how their partnership evolved over time. We'll look at the key agreements between the two companies, the challenges they faced, and evaluate whether this alliance was ultimately successful for either side. Finally, I'll discuss Rover's later deal with BMW and what it reveals about managing international partnerships. By the late 1970s, Rover, part of British Leyland, was on the brink of collapse. Their cars were unreliable, unappealing, and falling behind global competitors like Toyota and Volkswagen, for example. The company depended on government bailouts and lacked funds for new technology. To survive, Rover needed a global partner with superior engineering, efficient production, and a reputation for reliability, something Rover lacked internally. An international alliance seemed like the only realistic path to survival for Rover. Honda stood out as a perfect match. It had world-class manufacturing systems and a strong reputation for quality and innovation. Honda wanted access to the European market, but it preferred a local partner rather than building its own plants in Europe. Partnering with Rover offered a shortcut, a way into the European market without huge investment or political backlash. So strategically, the partnership made sense for both sides at the time. From Honda's perspective, Rover brought assets that money could not easily buy. Rover's British heritage and reputation in Europe provided brand credibility Honda lacked in larger luxury markets. Rover also owned production facilities inside the European community, meaning Honda could bypass import restrictions. For Honda, this was a low risk, high learning opportunity. It could study European design preferences, safety standards, and supply chain dynamics, all through an established local partner, that partner being Rover. The alliance began in 1979 with the Triumph Acclaim, a Honda Blade produced in the UK under a Rover name. It was a success and marked the first major technical collaboration between a Japanese and a British automaker. The companies co-developed the Rover 200 and 400 series in the 1980s, combining Honda's engineering and Rover's European design. They shared not just vehicle platforms, but also engines and research and development facilities, and they even exchanged engineers and managers. Honda taught Rover modern manufacturing and quality management techniques, while Rover helped Honda understand the European market preference. Despite these achievements, the partnership wasn't always smooth. Culturally, the companies were very different. Honda's disciplined, consensus-based approach clashed with Rover's more unique British management style. Communication was sometimes slow and formal, and decision-making structures didn't always align between the two companies. The technology exchange was uneven. Honda provided most of the innovation, leaving Rover dependent and unable to build true internal capability in their company. Finally, as Rover's parent company, British Aerospace began exploring new ownership deals. Honda grew uneasy about how much of its proprietary technology might fall into a competitor's hands. For Rover, the partnership was a turning point. Its vehicles improved dramatically in quality and reliability, and its image shifted from old-fashioned British to modern European. Sales improved, especially for the Rover 200 and 400 models, but Rover remained financially fragile because of the technology came, because much of the technology came from Honda. Rover still couldn't fully design and produce cars independently. In short, the alliance restored Rover's credibility, but didn't completely secure its long-term survival. For Honda, the alliance was strategically beneficial. It achieved local European production at minimal cost, learned about regional consumer tastes, and expanded its reputation beyond small cars and compact, like small cars. Yeah. But the partnership ended abruptly when British Aerospace, Rover's parent company, decided to sell Rover to BMW in the early 1990s. Honda saw this as a betrayal since BMW was a direct rival of Honda. The experience taught Honda a valuable lesson about the risk of alliances without ownership control. When British Aerospace looked to sell Rover, it viewed BMW as a financially strong and prestigious buyer. For British Aerospace, the sale was purely strategic. It wanted to focus on its core defense and aerospace business, and BMW promised new capital, technology, and a global reach. However, the move alienated Honda and ended a decade-long collaboration that had been vital for Rover's recovery. While BMW brought deep pockets, it also brought a different culture and set of priorities that eventually clashed with Rover's operations. In hindsight, the decision benefited British Aerospace financially, but it destabilized Rover's hard-won progress. In conclusion, the Honda Rover alliance is a textbook example of how strategic partnerships can both transform and constrain a company. For Rover, it brought modernization and survival, but also dependency. For Honda, it provided insight and expansion, but at the cost of losing control over its shared technology. Ultimately, the alliance's end showed that the successful partnerships require mutual trust, clear boundaries, and align long-term goals. When ownership or priority shift, even the strongest collaborations can collapse. Thank y'all for watching.